Shalom. I'm Eddie Chumney of Hebraic Heritage Ministries, and we welcome you to this week's Focus Israel Report. In this week's report, we're going to be sharing with you the second part of a series wherein Rick Wiles of True News is interviewing an individual who was a former spy in the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, and his name is Reza Khalili. This is not his real name, and his voice has been disguised to protect his identity. He is going to share with us insights regarding the religious mindset of Shiite Islam and how, from understanding this mindset, we will understand that the leadership of Iran actually believes that a war in the Middle East involving Syria and Iran is necessary to bring about the destruction of the United States and Israel, and they believe that this will bring about the 12th Imam, or the Messiah of Shiite Islam. Therefore, once you understand the religious mindset of Shiite Islam, war with Israel and the United States is inevitable. However, the timing of the war is negotiable. So now part 2 of Rick Wiles' interview with Reza Khalili.
This is True News. I'm Rick Wiles. CIA spy Reza Khalili will be here to discuss intelligence information indicating that Iran may be in possession of 2 North Korean neutron bombs and prepared to carry out an EMP attack on the USA. Reza will also discuss the Islamic ideology expressed in the book The Last 6 Months, which deals with what Muslims believe will happen after Iran and Syria are attacked. Is Iran plotting an EMP attack on the USA? Reza Khalili is on the telephone. He is the author of the book A Time to Betray, an astonishing double life of a CIA agent inside the Revolutionary Guard of Iran. His name and voice have been changed to protect his identity. Reza, welcome back to True News.
Thanks so much for having me. It's great to be back.
You recently published a report suggesting that Iran is in possession of North Korean neutron bombs. Is this correct?
Well, one thing that I have verified, last year in an article in Washington Times, I revealed that Iranians have 2 nuclear bombs. They had purchased those after the fall of the Soviet Union through the former republics, and that certain sources within the State Department and other facilities and a U.S. officer has confirmed that. So I got further confirmation from an intelligence officer in the Guard's intelligence unit that yes, they do have 2 nuclear bombs, though he could not verify if they were workable, but they have purchased 2 nuclear bombs, but more so that they have neutron bombs. Now, we know that North Korea has that, and these are super EMP weapons where they could launch it on top of a ballistic missile and blow it up over the skies, and it will act as a super EMP weapon where it would destabilize the infrastructure of U.S. and send us back to the 18th century immediately. All power, water, food supply, everything. There will be disruption in all telecommunication. Life will stop, period. And estimates by those who have researched the effects through congressional advisory boards and others have said that after 1 year of such attack, 2/3 of Americans would cease to exist. So they have the bomb, they have the missiles, and I don't think that we are paying attention to that.
Well, approximately 2 years ago, there was a very chilling event that happened off the coast of California when a local helicopter crew flying for a TV station were eyewitnesses to the launch of what appeared to be an ICBM rocket out of the Pacific Ocean. The mainstream news media tried to cover it up, but I interviewed some retired military officers who told me that it was clearly an ICBM. And most likely had been launched from a Chinese submarine or some submarine. Reza, the very next day, there was a similar sighting over New York City, and then weeks later, there was a similar sighting off the coast of Texas in the Gulf of Mexico, and I talked to the eyewitness of that incident also. So within a period of less than, I would say 6 weeks, there were 3 ICBM launches off the coast of the USA. My first thought was somebody's doing a dry run. Somebody's doing a test of a possible EMP attack on the USA. You think Iran is already in possession of the technology and the means to carry out such an attack?
Well, the IAEA, in its recent reports, documented that they had experimented with launching vessels from launching missiles from their naval vessels and detonating the warhead over the surface of the earth. So they would launch it straight up, then they detonated it, and then everybody would think that's a failed launch. But the purpose of the launch, as documented by the IAEA, is that that's for an EMP attack. Now, if I'm sure you've heard that North Korea directly threatened America that they have a weapon, that they could destroy America. It can be none other than a super EMP weapon. The Russians informed America a few years ago that the information on super EMP fell in the hands of the North Koreans, and they have it. And so North Korea and Iran collaborate very closely, and I imagine if the Iranians have the neutron bombs, then they have worked on this super EMP weapon design, and ultimately a couple of launches could destroy America, and North Koreans have said that openly.
Reza, last Friday, Debka.com, the Israeli intelligence news website, they published their weekend report in which they said Israeli war planners were very concerned of a possible Iranian preemptive strike against Israel, which could happen within weeks to months. And according to Debka put forth 2 scenarios that Israeli war planners are taking very seriously that could happen in the summer or fall of 2012. The first one is that Iran would detonate a dirty bomb over Israel, a radiological dirty bomb. The second one is that they would explode a nuclear device in the water, which would generate a tsunami that would wipe out Tel Aviv. Have you heard these scenarios?
Well, I read that actually, and basically I revealed back in February an internal statement which was put out on many Iranian military outlets and others by a radical advisor to Khamenei, who stated exactly that there should be a preemptive attack on Israel, and that it's justified, and that they specified what kind of a missile is going to be used, and in it, they had stated that they should target the cities with most population of the Jewish people to annihilate them. And so right now there is a very dangerous situation because Iran could very well, the radicals who rule Iran could very well do a preemptive strike on Israel to make it incapable of responding to Iran, and one of it would be EMP attack or other attacks that you just noted. And so Israel should be on high alert, and I think Israel is also thinking about a preemptive attack to take out the nuclear sites of Iran and basically hopefully create a situation in their mind for an overthrow of the government. So it's a very high-stakes game, but the leaders in Iran are very capable of committing such crime.
There's one date coming up in July of this year that I think we should all watch. I'm not making a prediction. I'm just stating this fact. July 20 is the start of Ramadan, and it is also the beginning of the month of Av. And anybody who knows Jewish history knows that the 9th of Av, which this year would be July 29th, is known as the saddest day in Jewish history because of all the calamities and tragedies that have happened to the Jewish people on the 9th of Av. So you have the month of Av beginning on July 20th. You have Ramadan beginning on July 20th. And I'll just throw this in for weirdness. At that day, July 20th, we're exactly 3.5 years into the reign of Barack Hussein Obama. And so you got those three things converging on July 20th. I'm throwing this out, Reza, because the 1973 Yom Kippur War was known to the Muslims as the Ramadan War because it was fought at Ramadan. Not only was it Yom Kippur, but it was Ramadan. And so I'm throwing out this date because I think it's possible that either Israel or Iran could launch a surprise attack on the other side during that time.
Well, as I revealed recently, Iran, the regime in Iran is preparing for a final confrontation. And there's a book that they've distributed, a publication they've distributed throughout all of their forces called The Last 6 Months. And they have based it on centuries-old hadith and the science, and they believe that that time is very close, and they say an attack on Syria or Iran will trigger the end of time. So they're preparing for that. They're preparing to create that circumstances. And that's why all the war rhetoric out of Iran, actually they're looking for war.
Well, how do they define the last 6 months? The last 6 months to what?
But the last 6 months to the reappearance of the last Islamic Messiah, Shiites 12th Imam Mahdi, who will then come out of Iran and then kill the rest of the infidels and bring the world under one flag, one government, Islam. So the coming is once that trigger, which is an attack on Iran and Syria, or Syria takes place, the leaders believe that's the trigger, then they will go into action and attack Israel, attack U.S. and others, believing that that's the start of the last 6 months. And they know, I've talked to an intelligence officer in the Guards, my source, and they believe that Iran would fall, but nonetheless, and this is the dangerous ideology that they believe Iran would fall, but nonetheless, that would trigger the coming of Imam Mahdi, and Israel will get destroyed. The demise of U.S. will be at hand. So they have made preparation for a massive attack on Israel and attacks on U.S. homeland.
Okay, so if I follow this according to the Shiite theology that is espoused by Ayatollah Khamenei and Mr. Ahmadinejad, when Iran and Syria are attacked, the clock begins ticking, and there will be 6 months until the Islamic Messiah appears. That's what you're saying.
Absolutely right. I mean, I have it, it's on my website, Iran preparing for the last 6 months, under my special reports. But more so, I have shown it clearly in my book, A Time to Betray, of their ideology and looking forward to this day. So this is the important thing that we got to understand. They are looking for war, and therefore their war rhetoric, which is considered here in the West as merely a propaganda or talking to their choir, to their loyals in Iran. But that's not it. They truly believe in this, and they are looking forward to an attack on Iran.
Well, This is going to conclude part 2 of the interview. Until next week's Focus Israel Report, Shalom in Yeshua the Messiah. Amen.